What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So in just over a month, Horizon Forbidden West will be releasing on the PS5 and the PS4. Except there's one issue. The game's already leaked out online, and that becomes a problem for Sony considering the PS4 has been cracked wide open by that recent jailbreak, and we're going to go over that one here today. Also, we're going to be talking about some updated sales numbers around the Xbox Series consoles, as it appeared to surprise quite a few people online, and we're also going to be going over a previously rumored Switch title that's now been confirmed with a bit of an issue. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with LEGO and Activision. Now, in a couple of weeks, that being February 1st, a new set will be releasing for Overwatch 2, that being the Titan set. Except it appears that LEGO has delayed this due to the ongoing lawsuit allegations, misconduct around Activision. And in fact, they did release a quote from one of their spokespersons, you can see that here, where it says, "We are currently reviewing our partnership with Activision Blizzard, given concerns about the progress being made to address continuing allegations regarding workplace culture, especially the treatment of female colleagues, and creating a diverse and inclusive environment." This is something that's been ongoing for Activision, to where their own name and logo is risky for other companies to be next to. I mean, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony at least address this within their own companies. I mean, they sent out an email internally and they're like, hope no one leaks this out. And then of course that finds its way out there. But this is something that's, I think, a pretty big deal because it even goes outside of games. I mean, LEGO, they do Legos. It's not like they're making video games. They like, oh, we work with Activision on a regular basis. This is them looking in and saying, is it worth our logo being next to Activision with all this stuff going on for a Titan set? Well, they're going to review that, and I'm curious if they actually make any changes or what happens here. We'll see if they have an update around the Titan set in the next few weeks. Also, we have an update around a situation that I don't think Techland expected, that having to do with the time it takes to complete Dying Light 2. Remember they said 500 hours to do everything in the game, and everyone looked at it and said, wow, that's a lot of time. And then they came back and said, oh no, it's 20 hours to beat like the main story. And then people said, that's not a lot of time. And now they just went into Photoshop and created this entire graphic to explain it a bit better. You can see it here where it says 20 hours, that's needed to complete the main story. 80 hours, that's the time needed to finish the main story and all of the side quests. Then 500 hours, that's needed to max out the game with all the main and side quests, basically walk around every square inch of the map, choices, endings, the whole thing. I mean, it's gotten to a point where other companies and games are sort of poking fun at it, like Shadow Warrior, for example. Shadow Warrior 3 will take 500 hours to complete 60 times. And apparently, when it comes to these games, just put it out there and let people figure out how long it really takes. I'm sure Techland looked at it and said, wow, you could probably get 500 hours out of this game if you just walk around every square inch of the map. Let's put that number out there. And well, now they know. Putting a big number out there like that is a bit intimidating to people, but then you say 20 and they're like, is it worth it? Just let people figure out how long the game is for them. And it's tough when you try to put a number on it and figure out exactly how people will value that. Oh, and we did also have the list released from Twitter for the most tweeted about, or I guess the game that spurred the most conversation on Twitter. We can see the top 10 here. They put a little graphic out for it. And it's Genshin Impact, which is interesting because I don't really see that many people talking about it myself. However, it is indeed tweeted about a ton with what Twitter is saying here, and I do see Evan play it quite a bit. It's just one of those things where maybe you're not realizing the community around the game because the people you play with online aren't playing it. But hey, Genshin Impact #1, Apex Legends #2, which I understand the free-to-play games being up there as it's going to draw a large crowd. And you have Ensemble Stars, Final Fantasy, Fate Grand Order, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Knives Out, Minecraft, Project Sakai, and then number 10 is Fortnite. So there you go. Genshin Impact, the most tweeted about game in 2021. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Horizon Forbidden West, coming out February 18th, and I'm really looking forward to this title. We haven't had a lot of first-party Sony releases in the last 6 months or so. I mean, we were thinking this game was going to come out at the end of the year, gets pushed into early 2022, but it's Guerrilla. They make some visually impressive games, and Horizon Zero Dawn was awesome. So looking forward to this one. They've been showing off more and more preview coverage of it with different bosses, and it just looks very, very impressive. But we have a bit of an issue. The game's leaked online more than a month in advance. And in fact, we now have confirmation, this from VGC, we can see that here, where it says an unfinished version of the game is currently in public hands with media shared online. What happened was screenshots started to make the rounds on Twitter and other social media websites showing some off-screen shots of the game being played on a PlayStation 4. Since then, Sony or Guerrilla, they've gone around and started to pull these down through copyright strikes, so I can't show it to you here, like all the different screenshots, can't show you here, and I guess I would refrain from sharing them up or post them online as they are pretty active pulling these down right now. However, VGC has been able to confirm that this game, the one that's out there right now, this unfinished version, is core complete and it's just missing some art assets. So you might have different things in the world not look quite right as it would with the day one patch or just the final polish they would do after it even goes gold. So I'm looking at this now, more than a month in advance. We of course had that jailbreak that started to go on pretty recently. This game has not completely found its way online. The files aren't out there, but as we see with Switch titles, they'll leak out, like you'll see the game itself start to appear online, screenshots, video, people talking about it. Then a few days later, the file starts to show up online, it makes the rounds, and then spoilers are everywhere. So I want to make you aware of this now because I think this is going to start to show up probably within the next week. Now, it is the PS4 version, it's not the PS5 that has a lot of extra work done to it to make it look like a PS5 versus a PS4 game, right? They talked about like the water and different parts of the world as well. But still, the story is intact here. This is the same game essentially when it comes to the core gameplay and all this. So it sounds crazy because it's like, wow, we're more than a month. Yeah, we're more than a month out and this game is most likely going to find its way online, start circulating with that jailbreak and the hacked PlayStation 4s and spoilers everywhere. So watch out for Twitter, watch out for forum threads, watch out for YouTube videos, especially like even thumbnails. It's tough out there, but we've gone through this a lot with Switch titles. Just put it out there. Be careful with Horizon Forbidden West, even a month out. And I will let you guys know when the files do leak out completely and it starts circulating around just so you can be prepared for spoilers all over the place. And this is something that Sony's going to be dealing with, I'm sure, throughout 2022, as a lot of these games are going to be on the PS4 from their first-party studios. And again, as we've seen with the Switch, it seems to happen at least a week early, and it's kind of like they're almost incentivized because it's easy to dump the game onto the Switch and then post it online. Well, now with the jailbreak, it's pretty easy to just dump these games and then post them online. So I'm not sure what Sony's going to do here other than just continue to try to copyright strike images and video, but it's certainly something they're going to keep an eye on throughout the rest of this year. Next up, let's talk about the Xbox Series X and some updated sales numbers. Now, we don't actually get like solid sales information from Microsoft when it comes to the Xbox, not like how Sony and Nintendo will just tell us how many PlayStations or Switches have sold. Microsoft likes to talk about things like how many people have played Forza Horizon 5 in this first couple of weeks. But we did get some new information that at least gives us a pretty accurate guess at how many systems have sold. That coming from an interview with New York Times and Phil Spencer. We can see this quotation where he says, at this point, sold more of this generation of Xboxes, which is Xbox Series X and S, than we had any previous versions of Xboxes. Goes on to say, when you think about trying to get an Xbox or new PlayStation right now in the market, they're really hard to find. And it's not because supply is smaller than it's ever been. Supply is actually as big as it's ever been. It's that demand is exceeding the supply for all of us, so it's our job to get the supply there to meet that demand. Now, because we of course know how long it's been since the Xbox Series launched, so just over a year, we can kind of line it up with the previously successful Xbox console at this time in its life, that being the Xbox One. Daniel Med says this would put Xbox Series X and S over 12 million shipped. According to our estimates, the dual SKU strategy has paid off for Microsoft amid the supply chain issues and semiconductor shortage. Now, the most recent numbers we got from Sony was 13.4 million PlayStation 5s, and that was by the end of September, so we still have the entire holiday that I'm sure they'll talk about in the coming weeks. I believe they'll talk about that quarter, which tells me the PS5 would have had a pretty substantial jump. Even though supply hasn't been great, it's been hard to get a PS5. As Phil Spencer says, hey, we're pushing a ton of systems out out there. And if you think about it, the Xbox One was the most successful Xbox up to this point. Before then, I believe the 360 was just over 10 million at this same time in its life. So yes, they have been producing a lot of systems. It's just the demand is very high. I mean, the PS5 was extremely popular online with search engines, trends, all of this you could look up, and it's still very popular now. But the Xbox Series is, I mean, it's right there in terms of word of mouth and talk online. And they have the cheapest system technically with the Xbox Series S, which is pretty easy to find. If you just search around at Best Buys in your area, you'll probably be able to find one within driving distance. I'm able to see like you can pick it up in a couple of hours. So they've at least been able to meet demand with the Xbox Series stock. It's just the Series X is a problem. And that could also come down to them having to use some of the supply for blades in their data centers for xCloud and game streaming. But still, this is a pretty good start for Microsoft. And the biggest thing with the Xbox One, it actually started fairly strong for the most part, despite all the bad press and stuff they did with the Kinect and always online. It just fell off pretty badly there after a little while. So if Microsoft can continue this momentum for the Xbox Series, which we kind of think they will just based on a rapid release schedule with the number of development studios they have over the next 3 to 4 years and Game Pass being a big driving factor, I think they'll outsell the Xbox One pretty quickly. And then the Xbox 360 will be kind of up in the air. Could the series system, end up outselling the Xbox 360, get to that mid 80 to 90 million range? Well, I guess we'll see. It wouldn't shock me if it did, despite Microsoft putting all of their first-party games on PC as well. They're just people probably look at that Series S and like, you know what, that'd be a good second system, even next to my PC to have just for a separate room or something. So again, so far so good for Microsoft with their Xbox Series consoles. Next up, let's talk about a previously rumored Switch game that has now been confirmed. First, let's take a look at the tweet that kind of put this info out there. This from Nate over at Direct View Games saying the best Assassin's Creed is coming to Switch. That's right, Ezio will soon find his way to the Nintendo Switch, and we can move over here as it's now been announced that Assassin's Creed the Ezio Collection will be coming to the Switch in February. They put out a full trailer here, and this will be releasing February 17th. That has, of course, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. This is a pretty good bundle. It's been out on other platforms already, but this is still one of those things where it's fun to see it as a portable game, right? Like the different Assassin's Creed games, it's fun to have that as a game you could take with you on the go. I liked Assassin's Creed 2 quite a bit. I know people enjoy things like Brotherhood and Revelations, and yeah, I like Brotherhood, but Assassin's Creed 2 out of the 3 would probably be my favorite one. But there is a slight issue when it comes to the package itself, as this excerpt was also spotted on the product page. It does mention having to download games, saying Assassin's Creed 2 game available on cartridge. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Revelations, Embers, Lineage, and audio package for additional languages are provided as digital content to download, that being a max of 35 gigabytes. So think about that for a minute. We have those games, that's not including Assassin's Creed 2, I guess, being 35 gigabytes. This wasn't going to fit on a 32 gigabyte cartridge anyway. So yeah, unfortunately, you buy the game, you only get one on the cartridge, and the rest are all downloads, which is something we've been seeing quite a bit this generation. They do also outline some Switch-specific features, that of course being handheld mode, HD rumble, touchscreen interface, and optimized HUD. So not a bad package there at $40. It just get kind of annoyed when I see, oh yeah, download required. Does anyone really like that banner? No, and I think that's something that is pushing people more and more towards the digital side when it comes to the Switch. I mean, what's the point in buying the physical copy of the game if you don't get everything on the physical cartridge? Really, why wouldn't you just go digital then? You still need the cartridge in the system, it says, to play these games. So even though you download them, you would need to, it's again, strange stuff there. But when I look at this, I go, yeah, I'll probably just download it. But still, not a bad package to pick up, especially if you have not played the Assassin's Creed games and maybe you recently got into it with one of the other collections on the Switch. Certainly check out the Ezio collection coming out next month. Next up, let's talk about an update around some of the issues in Halo Infinite. And these mostly come down to big team battle and cheating. And we can see this post made up over on the Halo Infinite board from Sketch, who does go on to mention that they are working on a patch for big team battle, and If you're unaware, Big Team Battle has a problem when you have too many people in your fire team. Not too many people for Big Team Battle, just like more than 3, it seems. Like when you get to that point, it starts bugging out and it won't let you into a game. Like it'll count down and then it'll say finding players, then it'll just say an error has occurred and just kind of boots you back to the lobby. And unfortunately, that's something that's been going on since the beginning, like since the game released. They're just now going to be trying to fix that here in the coming weeks. As for cheating, they are already doing some testing right now and certification and looking to have that out by mid-February. They will also be talking about like a roadmap and some other things in the coming weeks. Basically, 343 is now back from their holiday break and they're looking to get to work on Halo Infinite once again. I'm not really sure why Big Team Battle's been broken this long. It's frustrating because that's the mode you would then go to when you have more than 4 people in your fire team, but you can't do it necessarily when you have more than 4 people in your fire team, which to me kind of defeats the purpose of Big Team Battle. We've been dealing with it a lot, is what I'll say, over the last few weeks. Now, when it comes to the cheating side, from what I've seen online, people are just requesting to be able to turn crossplay off because the PC platform is open, whereas the Xbox platform is more closed. So you're going to see more cheaters for aimbot assist and all that on the PC side. I don't really know why you can't turn it off anyway, because there are people on PC who don't want to play against the auto aim on controller. So you feel like you just enable that, say, hey, if you want to check this box and then you're not playing, or uncheck it, and all of a sudden it's just Xbox versus Xbox or PC versus PC, you can do that. Maybe that's something coming up here pretty soon. Seems like it would be a short-term fix for everything going on with Xbox versus PC when it comes to cheating, but who knows? Again, we'll see as we go along. I'm just hoping that we get some sort of roadmap when it comes to content. Like, let's get new maps in there, some new modes. It seems like they mostly just have been talking about cosmetics for the cash shop, like cat ears, but like, can we get some new maps? They should remake Pit from Halo 3. Let's do that. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a little poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, just a few weeks out from release, are you picking up Pokemon Legends Arceus? 26% said yes, I'm grabbing it ASAP. 42% said maybe, I'm gonna see how reviews turn out. And then 32% said no, I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm very curious how reviews are gonna turn out on this one, because I do see the trailers that keep getting released, and they've been doing a lot of previews for it, just showing off the gameplay loop as best as they can. There's still a lot of questions online around this game, but the more they show it, the more people go, ooh, visually the game doesn't look that good. And Game Freak and 3D games, it hasn't gone together that well. I'd like to see them get better as we go along and they get more experience with it, but still, maybe the gameplay loop will just overshadow that completely. I have said many, many times, I'd like to see them do something new with Pokemon, to change up the traditional formula. They're doing that, so I'm gonna give them a chance here, despite the visuals not looking very good, because yeah, maybe the game itself turns out to be like really good and this ends up just being a new series for them alongside of the traditional Pokemon games, but I guess we'll find out here in a couple of weeks. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Persona saying, in regards to a new Switch, I believe Nintendo wants to wait until the chip shortage is over and the next Switch would be available in stores, avoiding the online drama PS5 and Series X is having. Yeah, I do believe the chip shortage plays into that. But either way, if this thing doesn't get resolved for years, I mean, Nintendo is eventually going to have to make a move on their next-gen Switch, and they're already developing it, obviously. Nvidia is involved with the chip shortage as well, trying to navigate that with these massive video cards now. So Nintendo is still dealing with it behind the scenes. It could be delaying stuff, but I mean, they still launched the OLED Switch. I think people believe, like, they look at chip shortage and say, well, it's just the GPU. I mean, it's chips all over the board. There's stuff in the dock. So there's a lot that goes into that. And then the supply chain, even around screens and other things. So it's something Nintendo's going to be dealing with either way. It just comes down to, when do they want the next gen to start, or do they want to make this generation last years longer? And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was Horizon Forbidden West leaking out more than a month in advance. Do you think this is something that Sony is gonna be dealing with over the course of 2022 with those other PS4 releases? And then the Xbox Series systems, off to a good start, but can they outsell the Xbox 360? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.